Welcome. I'm Jose Sierra and the Associate Director for the program. So we want to thank Ben, Kaushik, and Chaya for being here to be back and in their alma mater. And again, the idea of the panel it is see a little bit what's out there, right, in the job market. You guys know that the job market is evolving. It is not the same job market that it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it's presenting a lot of challenges, a lot of new situations that I think it's great to have somebody who went that process just a few years ago to tell us how it was for them, what kind of lesson learns we can use. So I think we can start with Chaya and then go to Kaushik and then to Ben. Introduce a little bit of yourself, right? But I would like to see, because it's something very common for our students, right? What was your background when you joined, right? What degree you came with? If you had previous professional experience, what kind of co-op you did? What kind of something just for an introduction, and then we're gonna go deeper into that. But something that tells you where are you now working? Okay, what kind of things you did when you were here? So we'll start with that.
Yeah. So I'll just keep it short. Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here, and I'm Chaya Lakshmipathy. I currently work at Stables as a cybersecurity engineer, primarily focused on vulnerability management. So prior to coming for my master's here, I also worked as a cybersecurity analyst, and I have a little bit of experience in application security. So I have about 4 years of experience, and so nice to be here, to be on the other side of the room, I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can, and to the best I can.
Hello everyone, I'm Kaushik Vaida. I'm a senior software engineer at Akamai. I work in the platform security architecture team, and I also did my co-op previously at Akamai in a vulnerability management team, so I've had experience in different domains from the security industry. So I got into security during my undergrad, and after that I just came here to pursue my master's, and that's how I came into Akamai. Apart from this, I'm also passionate about CTFs, bug bounty hunting, and also attend a lot of security conferences throughout the year as well. So yeah, that is about me.
Hey, I'm Ben Leiden. I'm a consulting penetration tester at Rapid7. I have a much less typical background than these guys. I actually was formerly trained in biochemistry and then worked at a biomedical engineering lab for several years. While there, I picked up some software development skills and systems administration skills to solve problems I was researching, and then took a very hard pivot after research or reading about a set of breach reports that where the threat actor basically systematically took down a set of companies and wrote up a detailed penetration style report about how they did it. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Decided to pivot back into security, came here for my master's, then on the side picked up a set of certifications, and that was sufficient experience to get a junior pen tester role, and then I've been with Rapid7 ever since.
Thank you, all of you. So one of the first things I think is interesting, and we can jump back and forward, but it is the co-op, right? So when we were saying before over the lunch that the co-op, it is, it's a little more challenging than before. So we'd like to know, not only the co-op, we already know, right? But the co-op that they did, or the internships that they did, and how that process went, okay? How hard was, I'm sure that there was a few interviews by then. So let's try to go into those details. We can do it the same way, and let's try that.
So talking about my experience when applying for co-ops and internships, I was mostly looking at internships because I wanted to complete it in 2 years, my course basically. So I mostly looked at internships. I landed an internship at PTC. It was 12 weeks internship. It was mostly infrastructure security. It was firewall management, digital certificate management, and a couple of things related to infrastructure security. I think I took network security practices in the first semester, so I think that was really helpful to understand a lot of concepts in my internship. I think, the course was really helpful for me to excel. And I think co-op was would have been a better option because you get to work on the tools for much longer as compared to an internship. So I learned a little bit of everything, but I didn't get to dwell into everything that I learned as much as somebody who would do a co-op there.
My story is a bit different. So I was applying for a lot of jobs initially when I was looking for co-op. I was not just applying for co-ops, I also started applying for full-time immediately. And turns out the role that I had applied at Akamai for was actually a full-time role. And I don't know why they reached out to me, but they did. And then I had asked them, like, I'm not eligible to do a full-time role right now because I'm still pursuing my master's. So then I asked them, like, could you do a co-op instead, like interview me for a co-op position? Then that's how I got an interview. And this was actually the very first co-op interview that I had taken. And yeah, I ended up cracking it. And a lot of the courses I took at Northeastern a semester prior to that really did help me with my co-op, things like NSP, CSS, like SVS and all those courses, because I learned a lot of things in the labs and the things which were actually asked me during the interview process as well. So yeah, I was able to answer them in detail and also was able to answer any follow-up questions they had. So yeah, that helped me a lot. And after that, since I did a co-op, I had a good amount of time to, my co-op was initially just for like 4 months, then I'd asked them for an extension and it got extended for 8 months. So I did it throughout the summer as well, like spring to summer. And yeah, that's how I built a good amount of context and visibility across the company as well. So after which, when I was given like a return offer, that it was heavily based on me getting familiar with the infrastructure and everything internally. So yeah, that helped a lot, and that's how like I got a return offer in a different team. But yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't have an opportunity to do a co-op or an internship, A, because I was working while doing my degree, and B, because the second year of my program was when COVID kicked off. So that was great.
But you want to get rid of this one. So let me, and we're taking questions, right, about this. But one thing that I think when I was listening to Kaushik, what kind of skills, right, you learn during your co-op? And in your case, what kind of the skills do you, or in this case, when you go co-op, you can gain that are not taught in here, right? We know that we don't teach everything. So what kind of things you learned by then, right? By that moment that you were maybe in the middle of your career here, your path, this is something that I learned that now I use all the time during my career. You can start with that.
Yeah, sure. So definitely a lot of the tools which you actually use in the industry are different than what you do in curriculum here. You write small automation scripts. But when you're actually working at a company, you would have like a broader context of the infrastructure, and you get to build end-to-end systems. So you learn a lot more than what you're actually doing in your course curriculum here. So having that context, especially like interacting how different systems interact with each other, where you can find the threats and where you can fix them. So yeah, I feel a lot of those skills, and definitely we also work with a lot of open source tools like my team. So I got to build a lot of these tools from scratch. So you learn a lot about the software engineering process as well, like setting up certs, TLS certs, how to establish HTTPS, and how to establish public key infrastructure, and that's actually an assignment in one of Professor Sierra's course as well. So yeah, that did help a lot as well, like familiarity with that, and yeah, that's how my co-op went.
In terms of things that you would not learn here that you would probably learn in a co-op or an internship, aside from the technical skills, expanding on what we just said, really soft skills. So I think the soft skills are highly underrated when it comes to being a technical worker, both in the ability to speak to executives, to be able to contextualize what you're trying to say to the correct audience. So you are not going to speak to a software engineer the same way that you would speak to a non-technical executive. How to work in a team, especially in a distributed team where you're expected to manage your own workload and potentially take on other people's work if they're not necessarily getting the job done. And just generally how to be a professional.
Another thing I learned in my internship is that in a lot of the assignments, probably you'll get step-by-step instructions on how to finish an assignment. But when you are actually working on a project in your internship or your full-time job, you have to figure out what the next steps are. I think that gives you an exposure to explore what your skills are and how to utilize those skills and how to formulate those steps yourself rather than somebody giving it out to you.
one thing I'd like to add about being able to speak to different audiences. So this actually happened to me during my co-op. So I had to demo my presentation in front of senior management, and I went extremely technical into it. And at a point, they were like, "Please explain it to me like I'm five." So yeah, that is also one thing which you need to learn. You will learn at co-op or in actual full-time experience, which is that you need to be able to present to different audiences, and based on that, you should switch your presentation skills or how you present them, your idea, basically.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to thank you for being here and guiding us. So I wanted to know that what type of exact skills did you have before getting a co-op?
It's the very usual skills which you all the tools which you learn at any of the course. For example, I was saying about public key infrastructure, the very ones, different types of encryption, hashing methods, encoding methods, all those are and interacting with Wireshark, and yeah, all these are the basic tools which they actually expect you to know during an interview, and which they would actually question you about, how does a TCP handshake work, how does ping work, what happens when you type google.com. So these are all the basic interview questions which you can expect. And yeah, I feel these are a lot of fundamental knowledge which you learn a lot, even in NSP. I think one of us was talking about that as well. You learn a lot of the fundamental skills from these different subjects, which definitely helps you a lot to crack the interview process, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to expect you to know everything, as long as they feel that you know the basics and that you can figure out whatever that is at later point. That foundational knowledge is what they're looking for. So yeah, basic stuff that he talked about, how DNS works, how OSI model works. So all of those things are something that they would be asking in internship or co-op interviews. Full-time is a little different, but for internship, that's pretty much what they would probably ask for.
Hi, yeah, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you said during your internship you did a lot of work on infrastructure. Was it cloud-based? Because I don't think we had any cloud infrastructure security courses back then. So did you learn AWS on your own, or was it cloud-based, or what?
So the team I was part of, I was working on the firewall management. So we used tools like Fortinet, and for digital certificates, it was DigiCert. So that's what I learned. I don't think I worked on Azure or any cloud security areas before. But if you consider full-time, probably you should know how AWS works, what are the different concepts, or what are the different offerings of AWS when it comes to security. Same with other cloud platforms as well, GCP or Azure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you so much for the super insightful answers. I have a question for Ben. I also am from the same background as you are, interested in pen testing, and I'm fairly interested in how you pivoted from a super unconventional background to a super niche background like pen testing, especially in an era where a lot of folks are looking for similar profiles to match to similar potential roles. So how difficult was it for you? How exactly you pivoted into it, and what tips would you give to someone like us trying to navigate their way into something like pen testing or OPSEC roles?
Sure, it's a great question. It was difficult. So I would say that, first of all, I did have some prerequisite knowledge because I had done software engineering and then also done systems administration, which gave me some level of a technical background. I'm not sure what your technical background is, but it will be a heavy lift if you have not done some other form of tech work before, be it software engineering, network administration, or systems administration. Assuming that you do have some sort of background, the first thing I would advise is try to just get into the area that is most aligned with what your prerequisite knowledge or what your existing knowledge is, right? So if you're a systems administration, if you have prior sysadmin experience, then NetPen would be a good place for you to make an intro. If you have former software development experience, then software security is going to be a good place. If you have network administration experience, then Looking at aspects of NetPen or looking at network security would be a place for you to get in. So no matter what your technical background is, there will be some form of penetration testing that's a good ingress for you.
I'd like to hear from you guys what other certifications you can think, and also if the industry you see when you're interviewing some candidates, what certifications were useful, if they were, what kind of things maybe you're pursuing now, another certification. So let us know a little bit about that. We can start with you, Chaya, if you want.
So before interviewing for full-time jobs and internships, I already had CEH. So I didn't do any beginners certifications before I started applying for the jobs. What I found useful was based on what is in the description, what sort of tool experience they're looking for. I would suggest that go into that specific tool. There are a lot of free content that they provide. There are also certifications, free certifications that the tool provides, like Qualys, Nessus, and a lot of tools out there do have some sort of introductory courses out there that you could do that would probably help you crack the interviews. But since you're already doing a master's program here, I would say yes, Security Plus is it's probably the first step you have to clear. But if you're already familiar with a lot of concepts, and if you're already going through a master's program, I would suggest to take one step ahead of just a beginner's certificate. Try and check what the intermediate certificates are, and don't just do Security Plus because that is, you're supposed to have, or the job is looking for it. Find something that is really, really useful and something that you're passionate about, and pursue that, because you would learn more compared to just doing something basic. And there are a lot of certificates based on what you're passionate about. I'm currently pursuing OSCP, but I did Network Plus. Network Plus was pretty much like NSP in Masters, so I thought the content was redundant. So yeah, just since you're paying for it, I would suggest you to look at what the course is offering and make sure you try to learn something outside of what you've already learned in your master's program.
So I have a different perspective to this. So first of all, certificates are not free. You have to pay for them. So I also have like a CEH certificate, just like Chaya, and I did not. I was fortunate enough that my undergrad university was willing to pay for it. So that's how I did it, and it helped me break into the field. And for sure, a lot of the companies do look for a certification. They have the certification in the job title, like description itself, like CEH, OHCP. I'm sure you'd see in a lot of them. But what I feel is that certifications are not as important as actually getting hands-on on doing the projects yourself would be. For example, because a lot of the interviews that I attended they didn't really ask me like, why did you not do this certification or that? They just asked me like, do you have experience building this? Did you have a home lab? Did you do you know how to set up an Nginx reverse proxy? Do you know how to set up a self-signed CA and whatever? Like all these kind of things, which are things which you cannot learn on a certificate. I'm not saying that certification does not teach you a lot of stuff, but these are some of the few things that you will only learn if you do it yourself. And also there are a lot of certificates which are mostly theoretical and you don't learn anything hands-on. CH is definitely one of that. I'm not sure about Security Plus, but I think that might also be like that. But yeah, if you are willing to go the path of a certification, make sure it is definitely technical, like OSCP or OSW, like those kind of things. But if not, there are also a lot of free content available out there on YouTube. Like there are a lot of content creators, John Hammond, Harmsec, Stock. They produce like great content. You can they also do hands-on labs and everything. So you can just sit and go through the videos and not just binge watch them, actually do the labs yourself. And you'll definitely learn a lot more than any other theoretical certification kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd largely echo that. I think that certifications are a great way to get your foot in the door, and they're a great way to validate to your employer that you know what you're doing, so that it makes it easier to get promoted and it makes it easier to get a hiring interview. That said, a certification alone is not going to validate that you it's not going to get you past a hiring interview, right? You're still going to have a technical interview. You're still going to have to prove that you know what you're doing. So a certification is really just your ticket to ride. It's not going to actually get you a job.
So I had a question for you. Like, so you said like certifications such as like Sec Plus or some other, like they are pretty theoretical in terms of the knowledge that you gain. So I want to ask like how your profile looked like before you applied to like jobs like Kamaya and that. Like you got interview for full time, right? So yeah, I'm also trying to look for those kind of roles, but like I might not be lucky or something.
Yeah, so my profile mostly had a lot of different projects which I built. In fact, I did add one of the projects we had on Professor Ciara's assignment as well. It was like it's on one of his courses. I added that as a project. So a lot of small kind of projects, if you like search online as well, you can find a lot of different projects you can do in security. And I feel they hold a lot more value than these certifications. And I was also like fortunate enough to do like some internships in security as well. I interned for like a few months back in undergrad at a forensics team, and I also worked full time for a year in an IAM team. So yeah, all of these added my resume. I had a lot of skills in different domains, and yeah, this allowed me to, even the projects were like spread across different domains as well. So this allowed me to showcase my skills in various areas, not just because of certifications.
So were the projects like your own, like, or part of assignments, or you did them on your own, like?
So that's what I'm saying. If you like look them up, there are a lot of projects available, ideas available online. There is this GitHub page called NoLang, and he has a very good interview prep as well. And in the last section of that repository, there's like a good list of projects which you can do. Like you can write a simple cryptographic module, like set up a public key infrastructure, write an IAM module, or build your own CA and all those kind of things. These are like different small domains in which you can make projects. But yeah, if you look them up, you'll find a lot of them, and you can add whatever. That is basically portraying to the company or the person who is interviewing you that you actually took the time to go and look what are the different things being used in the industry and actually working them on yourself before you were actually told to work on it.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello. Okay, so my question is, in case somebody has no prior experience, how can you go about the job application? Like, in general, if I have no experience right now and I'm applying, I have a CEH certificate, but that's not enough. So how can I do, add to my profile to apply?
So the projects are definitely one of the things. The other thing which you can do is like CTFs. You can play a lot of CTFs. CTFs have like different challenges in different domains like web, crypto, reverse engineering, and all that. So that will also like teach you all these different skills, and you can actually add those tools which you learned and did during solving those CTFs. You can add them on your resume, and also like don't just blindly go and add whatever you come across. Make sure whatever you add, you know what it is, and you can be able to talk about it if asked in an interview, because that's how interviews are. They will just take like one random word from a thing you say and just go completely deep dive into that. So yeah, I would say like have like a very broad skill set like in different domains. Like you don't have to go completely in depth into a single domain, but make sure that's what like our MSCY course teaches us as well. We have like courses and assignments across various domains. So yeah, you can take small projects and assignments from there and add it as well on your resume. That will definitely help you get through that door and get an interview at least.
Yeah, what you're doing doesn't necessarily need to be novel, right? So if you want, stand up a blog and explain a complex topic. Write about what you did for a project that you have. Post things to your GitHub, right? The idea is just to show that you are competent, not necessarily that you're a principal developer or principal analyst or whatever.
I wanted to circle back to one of the topics that you guys mentioned. So I remember you guys mentioning home labs. So I actually wanted to question how important home labs were to you when you were interviewing for co-ops and full-time roles, and how exactly did you present whatever you have done in your home labs to your potential employers?
I can tell like how home labs helped me. So home lab could be anything as simple as having like a Kali Linux up and running like Burp Suite or Metasploit or Wireshark or whatever, that could just be a home lab. So how it helped me was one of my, like during my co-op, I had like an actual take-home lab assessment, which I had to do and get it done in like I was given like 8 to 10 hours, I suppose, and I was supposed to go and do it myself. So my previous setup and experience helped me go through it quickly and actually was able to solve it on time and submit it. So yeah, that is where like my home lab helped me. And also not just that, like when you're building a home lab, it could be like whatever, it could be like a simple website, like a portfolio, like because that would be what sets you apart from the other candidates applying to a similar job. So having a simple portfolio with HTTPS through an Nginx reverse proxy is also in home lab. So you can also like talk about that in your interview, and I'm pretty sure they'd be very impressed because that is actually what you'd be doing in your work as well. So yeah, that is my experience with a home lab setup.
This opened the door for I know where usually most of the interest is, right? Is how the interview process goes. Okay, so I'd like to hear from you guys what that interview's process were. Okay, so how long it took, how well, I mean, we know that it went very well, but what kind of questions you had, what kind of tests you have to pass, and what kind of advice you would give to our students about how to better navigate that difficult moment, right? To have an interview about job.
So I probably just interviewed for a couple of companies during my full-time search. One of them was for, I think it was web application security related role. So they probably would ask you about OWASP, obviously, and they probably might even ask you to write an exploit, SQL exploit, to bypass the authentication. And then, yeah, mostly related to exploits or how the whole process works. And probably just pick one WASP standard and ask you to dive deep into those concepts. And at Staples, they mostly asked, I was just telling them how I got lucky with this interview because all my 5 rounds of interview was on the same day. So it was a lot easier than having to wait for multiple days to get to know about the next round of interviews. So I think that was great. So at Staples, they mostly wanted to know how aware I am with all the things that's happening right now. What are the different data breaches? What are the CVs that's getting released every day? And what are my takeaways? So if I told, okay, F5 Networks, they had a data breach. So what are my takeaways from that? And what proactive step I could have taken and what reactive steps I should have taken. So they kind of asked me to dissect a specific data breach. And they asked basic questions about, since I was interviewing for a vulnerability management role, they asked me what is the process, what are the different steps involved in a vulnerability management life cycle, and they asked me to write a small automation script, and yeah, a little bit of, they gave me a simple program in Python or whatever language I was comfortable with, and they just wanted to, they don't care about the syntax errors and stuff. They just want to see what my thought process is and how I'm writing the code. They're not going to look for errors. They just want to see the structure of the code. So that was my experience. Yeah, I basically just interviewed for 2 companies, so that's how my interviews went.
But Chaya, one important point is how many applications you did, because we were, I mean, sorry for bringing that, but it's true, right? I know that students are now in the process are submitting, I heard many times, 10 per day, 20 per day, which sounds a little too much for me, but I mean, in your case, you also apply for a lot of companies, and you know, how that go? Yeah,
so I graduated in May 2023, and I started my job hunt sometime in January. And I've applied to about 300 jobs. Approximately 300 jobs. I did hear back from 10 companies, but it was almost towards the end of April. And everything came at once. So I kept applying. I didn't hear back for the first 3 months. And in the last month, I heard back from 10 companies at once. So, which is why I properly interviewed for 2 companies, and the rest of the companies, I was still in the first rounds of interviewing. And since I got Staples and I really liked the job and the job role, I just went with Staples and did not interview for the rest of the companies that I'd started the process with. So I know it's daunting, and I know it's strenuous to keep applying and to have that motivation. But I would say that strategize, talk to people, understand what worked for them and what did not. Just because something worked for them might not work for you. So I would still ask you to just grab the meaningful things that you think would work for you, and form your own strategy and work on that. If something doesn't work, give it 3 weeks or 4 weeks. If it's not working, change a little bit of a strategy, re-strategize, and go at it again. That's what I did, and I definitely recommend you guys to have 3 to 4 resumes based on what job you're applying to. I know people who literally customize the whole resume based on the job they're applying to. I didn't do that. I just had 3 resumes based on what I was interested in. One was web application penetration testing, and one was blue teaming, and the other one was risk management. So I had these 3 resumes, and I specifically targeted roles that was aligning with these domains, and I did not basically apply to all the cybersecurity jobs out there. I kind of pulled in only the things that I'm interested in, and I rigorously applied to only those rather than going for everything. And I also started learning only about the things that I'm interested in, because I didn't want to be jack of everything. Rather, I just want to pick one thing and go with it and familiarize myself with those concepts more. That's the strategy I followed with my interview process and the whole job hunt process.
I applied to a lot of jobs, like I stopped keeping track of them. It might be like more than 1,000 if I go and look back. Because first of all, my approach was very wrong. Initially, I was like blindly applying to any job. I used to keep applying before I went to bed, like right after I woke up in the morning. Like LinkedIn has that feature of easy apply, so you don't actually have to like open your laptop and fill everything. So yeah, that's when I applied most of them. And I used to just blindly apply with the one resume that I had, and I thought was the best one I had. Then after a while, I learned my lessons, and I started like improvising it, and I tried to have like different resumes. I had like a pool of projects. So based upon the role I was applying to and the job description or the tools they are using, I would like carefully pick the project I wanted and put that in my resume, and also like keep changing the skill sets and even the actual work experience which I had. Because when you're working at a company, whatever like internship or full-time experience you had, you go across like various different types of jobs and projects and everything, so you can like keep moving it. First of all, resume should only be like a one-pager, because especially for co-ops, it should not be more than that, because trust me, no one is willing to read more than that. They'll just look at the keywords and just like call it a day. So yeah, if they find keywords which match the role and everything, they'll go ahead, look ahead and give you a call, talk to the hiring manager and everything. But yeah, I started like improvising my method. I built different resumes for different kinds of roles, and I was more careful in applying. And yeah, after that, I started getting calls after that. So, and that was how I was applying. And coming to the interview experience, like I was not just applying to a pure security engineering kind of role. I was also applying to like software engineering side of things, because I had like a CS background, but not pure software engineering, with software engineering with like a touch of security, which is what my current role is. So a lot of my interview processes had like a mix of different rounds. So I had like a full-on system design round. I had like a behavioral round. I had a regular security-based round as well, and I also like had a full-on lead code level coding round as well, which is very common at very high big tech and FAANG companies as well. So yeah, so for that, like my preparation strategy was like I used to look at a lot of like blind posts, Reddit posts. Lead code has this discuss section where you can look, people like share all sorts of things, their interview experiences and everything, and you learn a lot about like the kind of questions you can expect there. and you can prepare accordingly. And there's also this very good GitHub a page which I was talking about earlier, like Nolang. He has a very good list of various different domains in security where you can prepare accordingly. He has a list of topics as well. You can just take that all and put it into ChatGPT, and it will give you a bunch of answers, and you can prepare from there. Like, that's just a starting point. But yeah, that was my strategy. And for coding, I used to you have to take a LeetCode premium membership, and there you have these LeetCode tag questions for each company, which are the most recently asked questions in these companies, which people constantly keep updating. If you're not willing to take that as well, there's like someone has like a GitHub repo. I'm sure someone would have that as well. You can just go there and look as well. And yeah, that's how I prepare my coding interviews. Some of the security engineering interviews, like the coding interviews, were fairly easier. Like you had to write like a Caesar cipher, which I think was one of the assignments as well in one of the courses. And yeah, it was very basic ones like palindrome and all that. But yeah, some interviews are generally tougher. But yeah, depending upon. So what I would suggest is that start preparing early so that you're actually prepared by the time you actually get an interview, which can happen anytime when you're constantly applying all the time. So and once you get a call, you don't have much time to prepare for it. You will have like barely 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, I'd say like always stay in the loop, keep preparing, and so that you can get an interview any moment. And you won't always pass your first interview. I failed a lot of interviews. And so yeah, all these interviews just teach you a lot about where you lack your skill set and how you can further improve. And finally, at some interview, you'll do like very well, and you'll finally hopefully get an offer. But yeah, always like keep applying, keep interviewing, keep preparing, and that will finally prepare you for when you actually get a role which you're really excited about, and you can interview very well for it. And also one last point I wanted to touch about was having one particular skill set. So right now, when you're at the initial stages of in your early career, I would not say like try to specialize in one particular field or skill set, like web app or forensics or whatever it is. Like try to have like a very broad domain and skill set as well, because how companies look at co-ops is that they don't give you like a full end-to-end project. Like they will just give you whatever is in their backlog. That's how projects are decided for co-ops, because we have a co-op as well, and that's how the co-op project was decided. Whatever is a backlog and we are not able to get to it is given to the co-op. So you're just given whatever is thrown at you. So I would say just have like a very broad domain and skill set, and yeah, from there you can decide as you grow through their career, and you can decide what excites you the most, and you can go deep dive into that field specifically. So yeah.
Yeah, my interview and hiring process largely mirrored that. So I started off, it took me about 8 months to land a position, and I probably sent out about 300 to 400 resumes. I would say the same. I started off just broadly spraying and praying, applying to whatever that I thought I could see. I had very little success with that. After I failed the first like 200 applications, I suddenly was like, well, maybe I should start doing things differently. So then I started constructing tailored resumes for what I wanted and actually doing cover letters. So I would definitely not recommend doing that for every single company, but if you see a role that you really like, put that time in. Make the custom resume, write the cover letter, do the research as to what their interview process is going to be like, and really put effort into it, and that will likely stand out. Do the obvious things, like make sure if they're looking for specific keywords, those keywords should be in your resume. All those little fine-tuning things. In terms of what the interview processes are like, it's going to be highly dependent on the role. So I interviewed for a network security role at a healthcare company. That was 7 rounds over the course of a couple of months, featuring soft skills interviews, first round interviews, coding interviews, a security challenge, a variety of different things. That was very different than my experience interviewing for pen test roles. That was a much shorter interview process. That was about 4 rounds. That featured a initial like first pass interview, then a soft skills interview, then a basically like second round technical interview where you were just asked questions like, what port is Kerberos on? Like, you're in this position, how would you privilege escalate out of this? How would you move laterally if you were here? And then finally there was a a challenge lab where they will put you into a simulated environment, and they want to see how you manage to move from not having any position to establishing a foothold, to escalating privileges, moving laterally, and then compromising a domain. Basically like a mock pen test, effectively. And then you write it up and present it to your hiring manager. So it's just going to be highly dependent on what you're really looking at. I would urge everyone, just don't give up. I know it's an extremely daunting process. It's very annoying, especially when you're not getting any callbacks. Like, you'll submit 200 resumes and not get a single email back, even acknowledging that they've received your resume. But just keep at it.
Questions?
Thank you so much for sharing. So I have a question regarding like the job search. I know a lot of people talking about like just like the traditional way to like send the resume online, right? Like, is there any other way like because I also like heard a lot of people say like networking is also a good thing that like attend like a lot like kind of the cybersecurity related events, and I have been like also like consistently trying to like attend those and to make connections, and also like trying to like understand security not only from the academic perspective but also for like the kind of real world perspective as well. So can you maybe like just like getting more advice on that? And also I know like choosing a company is like two ways, right? Like, it's not just they interview you also interviewing the company that you is that like fit for your culture, it's a fit for what you see yourself to grow in this company. And I know a lot of people was like sending like couple hundreds for the resume, and then if they get one like the job offer, they will just choose this one no matter like the growth, no matter for like the opportunity. So I'm just trying to, if you can like share more light on that, like how would you advise, as you guys have been like working in that maybe like a couple more years, so like what would be the advice if you were like us or in the positions, like how would you guys like kind of just giving advice like in general?
I think you had multiple questions in there. I'll take the first part of the questions regarding the conferences. I think it was really helpful for me. I attended the Women in Cybersecurity conference a couple of times, and it was really great to be out there and network with the leaders in cybersecurity, and they do have a job fair. There are different booths organized by different companies, so they do an interview right there on spot as well, if you're lucky enough. And I would recommend you to have an intriguing conversation rather than just going up to them saying, I'm on a lookout for a job, give me a job, or tell me about the jobs you're offering. Don't do that. Rather, I would say introduce yourself and tell them what you're interested in, ask them what projects that the company is currently working on. I think that is a better conversation starter than just putting yourself out there. I found it very, very helpful. And I even got a call back from one of the companies that I spoke to in the conference, and they pretty much didn't. I think I just had 2-3 rounds, and it was completely informal. And since I did not like the job role as much, I went with Staples. But if you have spoken to the right people in the conference, and if you had the right conversation, I'm sure there'll be some sort of turnaround even in the conferences. In this Boston security conference, that is free of cost. So I think not just to connect, but also that there'll be a lot of companies who would be talking about their new tools, new technologies. So I think that's a good way of keeping yourself aware and getting up-to-date information about what's happening out there. I found it really helpful, and I think you should explore that option as well.
I would say personally, like, this is somewhat common sense, but if you can avoid going through the front door, do it. So if you have a referral, take that referral. If you know someone there, have them get you a referral. If you meet people who you at cons, like, absolutely try to network. Volunteering conventions is a great way to get your foot in the door and get noticed as a potential candidate. Another thing that most people might not know about is there are a lot of career fairs in the greater Boston area that are hosted by not only Northeastern, but other universities. And a lot of those times they're not really checking whether you're a member of that university. Do it, because you will get face-to-face with a hiring manager, and they will actually talk to you and listen to you, as opposed to blindly sending in a resume and getting filtered out by some keyword selector. So that's a great strategy.
Yeah, I have the same idea as well. So networking is really very important. I used to send a connection request to literally anyone and everyone I could find on LinkedIn for any company that I wanted to go and interview at, because that does not really, not just that opens the doors to networking, but also a lot of the time, a lot of hiring managers and recruiters like cross-post or like react to a different post posted by one of the hiring managers. at a sister team working at their company like that. So like that, you can come across a lot of roles and find out about a lot of things, and you could directly message that person as well on LinkedIn and ask them for like a referral, or maybe have a look at your resume if they're the hiring manager, and they'll be more than happy to do that. And not just that, like a lot of the times, like if you go to all these different conferences and everything, you meet a lot of people, and if you have like a very good conversation, they might even like know your face. Like next time, just be a coincidence you come across them in the same interview, they'd be like, they know that's a familiar face, and yeah, they'd be more happy to interact with you during the interview. Maybe it won't be as stringent as they would expect, like want it to be, because they know it's a familiar face, they have seen you before, interacted with you. So yeah, that also like puts the pressure down a bit during the interview as well. And yeah, to answer the last part of your question, I think about was, how do you decide like whether or not you want to stay in the role you are at or not. So that is only something that you can tell based on how you're liking the vibe, I guess, if you can actually work for that role continuously. Because I was previously working full time before I came for my master's here, and the job I was doing felt very monotonous to me, and I was like, yeah, this was not working for me. I was not doing like creative work. It felt like it was very repetitive, and I was not learning much. So which is why I decided to come pursue my master's. So yeah, you can always tell from the job you're doing at the kind of culture they have. Based on that, it is fine. In the end, it would be you who will have to decide whether or not you want to stay this, you want to explore a different domain or whatever. But yeah, given the current circumstances, just take whatever is given to you, try to work on that project. Like I was talking about, like my co-op project was not something I did specialize in. Like it was in supply chain security. It was just thrown at me, and I learned about it. I really enjoyed it, and I became an SME for it at my company. So yeah, there is sometimes you get like projects out of nowhere and you learn a lot about it and you might like it. So yeah, explore different things and see what you like and stick with it.
Yeah, in terms of trying to figure out whether the company would be a good fit for you, that's really going to be dependent on what your goals are. But some questions I like to ask would be things like, what's your training budget? Do you value, having companies learn on their own? Are you willing to make time for that? What would be your definition of a successful person in this role? What have previous people in this role gone on to do? What are they doing now? What would failure in this role look like? And just getting a better idea of what they really value as a company.
Yeah, questions are definitely very important at the end of an interview. I was also at an interview panel very recently, and one of the deciding factor, not completely, but because both all the candidates were very similar, and you want to know how interested the candidate is as well, and not just applying for the sake of it to get a job and get paid, but how interested they are in the company. Have they done their research about the company, what projects they're working on? Because all these companies have different posts, research pages and everything. They're constantly posting about it. You can also go and talk about their architecture. They'll be very impressed, given that you know about their architecture, their internal tools. They will know that you have done your digging, you have done some social engineering or whatever to know more about the company. And yeah, they get very impressed when you ask such very good questions, especially the hiring managers.
Yeah, I totally agree with them both. And another thing is, when you're interviewing with a company, you can tell a lot from who is interviewing and how they're interviewing. The culture that the company follows kind of reflects on the kind of questions they have. You can read the room and understand, oh, these are the kind of people I'm going to work with, how supportive they are. So that gives you a good idea whether you want to stick with that company or if you want to go on interview for more companies.
Hello. What are other platforms you were using to apply for a job, and which one you find the most useful? And were you active on the LinkedIn where you were applying for the jobs?
Oh, definitely. LinkedIn is definitely on the top there. That is the most visible and the social platform out there for applying for jobs, definitely. But apart from that, you can also try different things like sending cold emails to different recruiters. You can get a company's email by doing some social engineering and guess their emails and randomly send. If you think someone is a recruiter, a lot of these recruiters have these titles called university recruiters. Usually they are the ones who are hiring for university candidates for co-ops. So you can somehow try to guess their email maybe and just send them an email. Sometimes they might respond, sometimes not. But yeah, LinkedIn is definitely on the top there. I don't think I have applied through any other. Some companies, even though they are on LinkedIn, they also post on their career page. So if you have a target company that you're aiming for, you should always keep tracking them as well, like set up like email alerts and keep getting jobs and go and immediately apply right away, because right after a job is posted, if you don't apply immediately, there'll be like 900 candidates and everything on top of it. Like if you have LinkedIn Premium, it says on the bottom how many candidates have applied. So by then it's already very late. And yeah, definitely referrals are definitely very helpful. So that will definitely help you get through the recruiter at least, because they get to see a lot of resumes, and getting a referral will help you get to the initial pool of resumes that they look at, and that will increase your chances. So, but yeah, to answer your main question, LinkedIn is definitely the main platform I used to apply at.
Do you find premium LinkedIn useful for that?
I mean, I used to take the trial, which they used to offer, like 1 month free period trial. I never got a full one, but yeah, it's a useful. You get a lot of credits, like in mail credits, because a lot of these recruiters have it turned off, and you cannot like DM them directly. But yeah, those LinkedIn Premium lets you like send them in mail DMs and whatever for a referral.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm one of the students at Boston University. I graduated with an MS. In short, for a candidate, what kind of qualities do you look for them in a candidate that really stood out to you? Thanks.
One quality that I really would prefer, like if I was looking for, because I never really get to pick the candidate resumes whom I'm looking at, because that's always the recruiter or the hiring manager. So one thing which I would always prefer is that someone who has like gone out of their way to actually go and do and build a project end to end by themselves, and troubleshooted the different errors which they came across and solved it themselves is definitely one of the skills. Basically, that means you don't have to be spoon-fed everything. That is definitely a very important skill, even during a co-op, because in a co-op you would be assigned a mentor, and the mentor would, at the end of your co-op, your mentor would also be asked for a feedback on how well this candidate was for the role, like whether the mentor had to like spoon-feed them everything, because once you're doing a co-op, you will have all these different internal knowledge bases where you can just look up documentation and whatever and try to learn about things yourself. So yeah, basically one of the main qualities would definitely be a self-starter, apart from the main tools and skill sets. But yeah, being a self-starter and like being able to navigate things yourself instead of having to waiting for someone to come and unblock you would definitely be a top priority.
Sorry, I just have one more questions. Yeah, so just want to know that. So I know like a lot like kind of cybersecurity related, like the job they require like the confidentiality, right? So when you're applying the application, they're asking you what is your security clearance, so like that. So I'm not sure. Maybe can you like discuss more a little bit about that, and as like for like international student standpoint, like how would that be applied for them, and also just trying to like seeing that, because I know it's like very kind of sensitive, like if you like going to that path, and a lot like thing like it's like company secrecy, so just trying to see if you have any kind of input.
So are you referring to government jobs that you're applying to?
For just the general, for the general, they're also like asking you like what is your security clearance, like kind of that.
Got it. So usually the only jobs that would require a security clearance are going to be specific government roles. So if you want to go just into a general cybersecurity job, that does not require a security clearance. You may be asked to sign an NDA, but that is distinct from, or sign some other sort of document stating that you won't disclose information about their interview process or disclose information about the company. But that is distinct from a security clearance, which is a much more robust background checking process. So like in short, the vast majority of jobs that you will encounter will not require a security clearance.
So mostly for international students, I don't think we will be even eligible to those kind of jobs. So I never even apply to them, because for a security clearance, I think you're supposed to be like a citizen or something, and most of us won't be eligible for that. You have something.
Most jobs that are asking for a security clearance are looking for former military personnel or former government personnel that already have a clearance. So if you're going to apply for those jobs, they're not really interested in helping you get a clearance. People that already have one.
Thanks for your valuable sharing. I have a question about AI application in cybersecurity. I know it's a big topic, but would you mind sharing what you have seen or experienced in your company about how AI, this big trend in the world, impact your company? maybe in strategic planning or the product portfolio or maybe internal process improvement? Yeah.
Yeah, so for us, we're largely using it to augment our SOC. So we have a managed SOC service where we have companies will hire us to do basically act as SOC analysts for them. And there we are applying a lot of AI and LLM technology to improve efficiency and improve the fidelity of alerting. In terms of how I use AI in my own job, it is just unbelievable how impactful it is for pen testing. Like I cannot imagine, like I've only had this for about a year and it's like, I can't imagine doing my job without it. It is, I've solved problems that would have taken me hours to figure out, like troubleshoot myself, or wrote code snippets that would have taken me multiple hours to do by hand in like 5 minutes. It is unbelievable how large of a force multiplier it is. I don't think, candidly, I don't think it's going to replace a lot of roles, at least not a lot of roles outside of incredibly junior ones, but it will be a massive, massive force multiplier, and you should know how to use it before applying to roles, if that makes sense.
So talking about like AI at companies like my company Alumni, we are very big in the API security space. So a lot of our like WAF and security findings already have a lot of ML models running in the background, doing intrusion detection and all that stuff. So that was already there. Coming to the current LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, and all that, you should definitely be very. They definitely help you make more productive during your work, because right now at a company they are pushing everyone to use giving Copilot licenses to engineers. So that helps you get more productive at work, because to talk about like a few scenarios where I can think of, like at work when I'm like coding in my IDE, I have an extension for Copilot, and it's always like I don't have to go and manually go and look up specific function for its syntax or whatever. It is helping me autocomplete. But it does have the tendency to hallucinate as well. But yeah, that also depends upon the model you're on. For example, Claude is the most sort of model for coding and security sort of stuff. But yeah, you should not blindly trust the code it generates or anything you ask it to write, like a design doc or a README file or whatever. It can also do like security reviews. All these is just like augmenting and helping you do your job better. So they definitely like want you to use AI, but don't just like blindly rely on whatever code or something it spits out. So make sure like you have like different validations and checks for that as well. So AI engineering is also like a very up and coming field. So if you're able to talk about how you are using these AI solutions to better improve your methodology, like coding or brainstorming, or when you're setting up a project or building your folder structure or whatever it is. So yeah, that definitely helps you. If you understand the different terminologies there and you can talk about it during interviews or whatever, that is definitely useful. But yeah, you should definitely use AI at work as well.
We all graduated without AI, right? We didn't, at least we didn't have that match, right? We were able to do our stuff, and that is, I look at it and I say, I was lucky, right? Because I know I was able to learn a lot of things, right? We learned to, better or worse, right? We were actually doing our stuff. I think that the learning process that we follow was something that we know, okay? So you're taking a class with me, you know that I am, okay, you're using it, but I don't want you to use it for evaluation. That makes sense, I think, right? When I'm evaluating your work, I want you to not to use ChatGPT or not to use AI at all, right? So one thing that is a concern, and we here in the Khoury College, but also in the university, we're trying to to see what is the best way to approach to this. Same thing, right? It is just amazing. Honestly, the best that I like about AI is that every question I have is a great question. Every idea is a great idea. Always is very polite. I like that. I don't have that in my life, so it's great. Students complain about that. No, it's amazing, right? The coding aspect of it is just unbelievable, right? I can do things way faster than that. So I don't know how doing learning with AI is gonna end at the end. What kind of learning you're gonna get from that? Okay, so I would definitely, again, my understanding is that you need to. I know it's hard, right? You need to actually understand what you're doing. Right? That is I think that all of us, although we like AI, we wouldn't hire somebody who actually the only thing they do is to just ask ChatGPT, right? There is not a job for that, right? So I would say that try to keep in mind that this thing is going to be there, no question. It's going to be more challenging to find a job. It is great to use it. It's really great. We were passing advice about how we use it, right? Because what is work better. That is great, but be concerned about what you're learning, right? What are you bringing to the table besides the AI? Because again, right, we don't know how this is going to be, right? And you guys have been at the end of your career, or kind of your academic career. You're still, you still started some time without AI, but kids now in high school, they're using AI since the beginning. How these kids are going to, again, when they got to find a job, I mean, for me, it's difficult to say, right? Well, how is that learning process? It's going to be something like a calculator, or it's going to be something that actually, diminish their understanding, their capacity to take decisions, to do analytical work. It is, again, we were lucky. We didn't have that, and we are what we are. But I would definitely keep an eye on that, right? When you are using AI, I mean, it's great for learning. I have no doubt about that. But keep an eye on if you are actually learning, right? Because it's so sometimes AI, and this is not me saying it. It is proven that when we use AI, we tend to think that the idea was kind of ours, right? We tend to think that we are just using it for a small thing, but the main part of what I'm doing, it was just myself, okay? That happens with AI, and if you are not, it could happen that you didn't learn anything, because it's so tempting to have a code, pass it through ChatGPT, get it back, put it there, and not even know what is going on behind the scenes, right? So anyway, keep that in mind, but yeah, we like it. So more questions? Oh yeah, you have questions, sorry. Yeah.
So a few points ago, you were talking about lead code. You said it was important for interviews. I would like to know the others' opinions. How important is it? I feel like I joined cybersecurity, so I don't have to do it as much. So I just want to know how important that is.
Very role dependent. So in an engineering role, yeah, I would know lead code, and I would get that. There's that algorithms book for interviewing. I forget what it's called. It's a green book. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's the book you want. So if you're going into any sort of dev-heavy role, you can expect to be asked coding challenges, and those coding challenges are probably going to be lead code style questions.
So a lot of the coding style questions are not really as hard as you would think. So you can just do the lead code easy ones and get away with it, because they don't really expect you to be as strong as they would expect in traditional software engineering to be in. Like, they won't ask you like DPs and graphs and all that, those kind of things. They'll ask you very basic like string manipulation, arrays, and all those kind of things, the very basic ones. But yeah, you should definitely know coding, because that does not just help you recognize patterns and help you write automations, because that's also a crucial part of any security engineering role as well. So yeah, some amount of coding is always expected.
So I don't come from a computer science background, so I picked up programming language while I was doing my master's here. I'm still not that proficient in programming, to be honest, but I definitely recommend you to at least try to understand the code and write a few lines of code. And like he said, it might not be as rigorous and stringent as software development interview process, but you definitely need to be able to do the simple programming. I think you can just search for top 100 code programs that you need to know when you're interviewing. That's what I did. Simple palindrome or tuples or array related to that. That's what I did. And it's definitely related to what sort of role you're interviewing for. In vulnerability management that I interviewed for, you need to know programming language, but it's only for automation. You would not be building solutions. You just need to know how to integrate different tools. So for that, you probably would need to know JavaScript and Python, but I don't think you would need to be full-fledged doing lead code. I highly recommend that, but for some of you, it might not be as easy, and it's totally okay. And so yeah, based on what you like and looking at the job description, you can easily tell whether that is code-centric or not.
I had one thing to add. So based on what Chaya said, like you have to look at code as well. You should be able to know how to read the code. So secure code reviews are also part of some of the basic security engineering interviews. So if you cannot like write the code, you won't be able to read it and tell what's happening, because a lot of different things which you will only understand by when you get the full idea about the code. So for that is why I said like you should have some amount of coding experience and knowledge as well.
I have this question. It's something that I was also searching about. We were mainly talking about how to use AI, but I would want to ask for us, like doing masters in cybersecurity, are there any promising positions in like the positions that can specialize in AI, like AI security? And I heard many people saying about the AI hacking and the stuff. I would want to ask those in industry, like what positions are we gonna be in when we graduate with our masters in cybersecurity?
So companies have not really, at least most of the companies who are not specializing in making AI security-based products have not started using AI agents for like doing the security work day to day, because that just started to come up like last year and with MCP, I guess. After that, agents started getting revolutionized and everyone started adopting them. So yeah, that is definitely a skill which is not as widely adopted yet, but that is definitely something you should learn, so that it would give you an edge over others, that you are capable of building like AI agent pipelines and setting up MCP servers. Like just knowing those terminologies is more than enough, like to be able to like talk about or flaunt about it during interviews, just like I'm doing right now. So yeah, that is definitely very helpful in the interviews. But yeah, it's not as widely used right away, at least not even in my company, which in my team definitely. But a lot of these AI security based products which are completely focused on AI, they are definitely building like end-to-end AI agent pipelines to do like SOC or vulnerability management or like code reviews and everything. They have like their full. So I had gone to DEF CON conference, and a lot of the talks there were about these established workflows with AI agents. And yeah, they had like really amazing content. They have their content up on YouTube as well, so you can check out those talks as well. So yeah, it's definitely a skill you should always have in your arsenal.
Yeah, so my question is regarding bug bounty huntings, and you said you have some experience in that. So is it a good side job, and like how would you go on pick a target, and can you even accept bug bounties while you're on CPT or OPT?
So right now it might be untouched area, like, because I haven't been doing as much as bug bounty hunting as I used to do before. I used to do a lot of it during my undergrad back in India, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of. I cannot answer about the question about what's the criteria right now, like with our visa situation. But yeah, bug bounty definitely. Like I can answer the question about like how to get into bug bounty and all that if you want that. Yeah, so I just started by like watching like videos like I don't know if you know Stock Fredericks, and he used to be a very big YouTuber back in the days, like Nahamsek and all those things, and Farah Hawal, to name a few YouTubers. So they used to post a lot of these content. They used to go to like live hacking events across the world. They used to get to travel places and go and hack on companies and get paid for that. So that seemed pretty cool to me. That's how I got into security myself as well. So yeah, I just like started with I think Ben mentioned about Portugal Labs. There's definitely a very good starting place for that, to know about definitely OWASP top 10 and gradually move from there. You can start by reading reports on HackerOne. HackerOne has this like public activity page. They post a lot of public reports there regularly, so you can start with that. And there's always InfoSec, Twitter or X right now. So you can look there, because a lot of them post like Medium articles and POCs, like all the POCs which they did, and you definitely learn a lot from them. And based on that, you can like try to gradually get into that field, and you might not get anything for the first few days, and eventually you will be able to like get your first bug and get paid a bounty for it. But yeah, that's a very good feeling. But yeah, that's how you get started. Try to, in CTFs you can do like web-based labs more. And yeah, that's how you can like gradually, even the SVS course which is offered here at MSCI, that also teaches you a lot about like bug bounty hunting. A lot of the assignments and yeah, modules they had were based towards that. So yeah, you can start that way.
To be more specific, like how did you like you have accepted bounties, right?
No, not right now.
No, like
Oh yes, I did.
So how did you pick a target? How did you enumerate them? How did you like?
So a lot of I used to pick any random public program which was open to hunt, and I used to see like on Twitter like what people are talking about, like which they can, or on Hacktivity pages which domains are the most targeted ones. Like so I tried to pick that, and I went with that and started hunting on that because there was already like a lot of videos available on how people are actually hunting. So Nahamsek is a very well-known guy who does a lot of recon. He does like Twitch streams and everything. So yeah, I got a lot of my ideas for like recon setup done from there. Even like Jason Haddix, he's also a very good guy with recon. So yeah, based on that, like I set up like initial tools and started doing recon, subdomain enumeration, and all those things. Like there are a lot of different tools. I can get into that if you want, but I just picked the random target which I thought is a very juicy target which people are getting bugs on. So and just I went with that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie. Thank you so much for your time. I was curious if there are any like contextual or less technical courses that you took that you felt like increased your value as a candidate.
So some contextual courses like forensics, that was a very good contextual course. It was not completely non-technical, it had a lot of technical aspect to it, but that came under the contextual track. So that was the one course which I really liked a lot. But one thing which the contextual courses can teach you a lot are writing documentation, because that's also a very important aspect at anywhere you work, even at a co-op. Like at the end of the co-op, you're expected to make like a full-on documentation of what you did and like a presentation, because all these writing skills, soft skills are also very important, which I feel these contextual courses teach a lot about, like cyber law, SRM, and all those kind of things. You do a lot of documentation, but yeah, they definitely like help you in your career as well later on when you're writing like design docs and trying to explain your perspective, like be it technical or non-technical. You can tell about a good introduction. You can have a nice background, like talk about background. You can have different sections. You will know how to structure your document, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
We're always thinking about it, and I actually asked them exactly that, right? We, the program, our Master in Cybersecurity, has 2 mandatory contextual track courses and 2 mandatory technical, we always see students who want to do just contextual, just technical, right? And so far we always we end up actually keeping the same requirements, right? We're keeping we believe, or this is something we designed in the curriculum committee for the Master in Cybersecurity, we believe that there are still knowledge or skills that you have in the contextual track that you cannot get and into the technical track. And one part, I'm not saying that this is in those courses, but the soft skills that we were saying here, right? If we, right? I'm computer science engineer. My background is only computer science, but what I see here is that most of what we're doing, or what a successful student or worker is doing, it is actually being a lot of soft skills, right? Being able to talk, being able to approach to people, I'm just amazed, right? You guys here presenting, I mean, of course, you've been doing that for a while, but it's true that this is something that you need to get in there. So it is contextual track courses are intended for that, right? Intended for writing reports in a formal way. Having, we also have a capstone that is also providing that. But I have to say that when we talk about this over lunch, I think that we all agree. I mean, you all. I said no, but they agree that maybe having only one requirement for the contextual track going to be better, or not putting as mandatory. You can always take elective courses. But I like to know, right? I like to know what you think about that. What do you think about the technical and the contextual track courses, Michelle? Oh yeah. Be kind,
okay? I actually, I work at Noble Engineering, and I will say that the 2 contextual courses that I took have led me to get the co-op, and then the contracting position, and then also the full-time position. So I wouldn't say dismiss it completely, because if you do not have a lot of technical background, or like you're not well versed in your technical background, I would say like 8 out of 10 times this is probably the path you should take, and then continue to grow in your technical components. So right now I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I started doing a lot of compliance work and auditing, so focusing on ISO 27001, NIS2, EU CRA, that stuff. And now I'm working on pen testing within the company. So I'm kind of starting to move on my trajectory. I'm doing a little bit of like network security for them too. So I wouldn't say dismiss it, especially if you don't have background in tech.
But you don't learn much from my classes then?
No. Oh, I took GRC and decision making in critical infrastructure, which actually helped a lot because I work in critical infrastructure.
Yeah, so even I think doing risk management as one of the contextual courses was really helpful, especially in my line of work, because we assess vulnerability as they come, like the 0-day vulnerabilities, any new vulnerability that's getting exploited out there. I think risk management helped me understand what is risk, what is a threat, what is the likelihood of the threat actually happening, and what's the impact. So all that assessment I was able to understand only because I took the course. I don't like the calculation part, but then a lot of concepts in there is something that you will actually use, because in corporate world or any organization out there, they don't understand when you say important. Like, they would understand if you say, this is the risk involved, this is the impact it's going to cause. So those are the terminologies that you might have probably picked from contextual track and not the technical track. So I found it helpful. That not everything is going to be useful that you learn from there, but I think there are at least 40 to 50% context that will be useful for your cybersecurity jobs.
Hi, my name is Caden, and my question for you guys is, for those technical interviews that didn't require leak code, what did they have and how did you prepare for them?
That would just basically be the very basic things, fundamentals which you learn in any of the courses in MSCY as well, like FI, CSS, all the fundamentals which you learn, like what are the layers of the OSI model, TCP/IP stack, how does ping work, how does TCP handshake work, all those encryption, encoding, what is public key infrastructure, symmetric encryption, asymmetric, why is this better than that, why would you use that, hashing. Yeah, these are all the basic things. And like I said, the repository which I was talking about, NoLang, it had a lot of basic, like that, like you can find a lot of different repositories as well, like for threat hunting, for SOC, and these repositories have like a bunch of information which you can take that as a starting point and prepare from that to help improve your security knowledge for interviewing as well. And also one more thing is, which is commonly asked, are like tabletop exercises. Is like you are given different incident scenarios. Like one of this which comes to mind is that you're sitting at a cafe and there's a CEO, and how would you just hack into his laptop? That was a very common one which I'd seen like in a bunch of different repositories. And these are different like tabletop scenarios which you can be asked. Like, be prepared to think through them, like how you would approach, how you would like get into someone's system if you have like an Wi-Fi. There are like different concepts you can get into each one of them, but these are like the foundations of the starting point. And depending upon who interviews you, like they may or may not want to get into in depth. So be careful of like what you speak or what you answer during those interviews.
I think that also is important. Again, it's been a while since I don't do any interviews, but I think that be up to date, right? So we got this AWS systems fall that basically crashed the whole internet, right? So being aware of all those things, it is something that can help you, because those topics are going to come up, I think, in an interview that is not technical. So you're aware of that, you have an opinion, you have maybe some kind of critical thinking about what is behind that problem or something that happened before. I think that kind of understanding of how the systems work, and be able to, again, give your opinion or what is your idea about how to solve something or to hack into something. That is something very useful during an interview too, right? So being, if you like the area, if you like the cybersecurity domain, you're gonna be aware, right? You're gonna be updated. But if you are not, trying to keep an eye always following any podcast, anything, right? That can help you, that information.
Yeah, that is actually a very common question asked in interviews as well. Like, how do you stay updated with the latest security news and as well? So have a few like news channels which you have like, or which are always reliable, like Hacker News or whatever. It could be anything. So have them as your backup, and also be able to talk about. One another common question asked is that what is the most recent hack or threat that you know about? Like, what happened? How could you have prevented it? What went wrong? So you should be able to. That's why you should stay updated with the current industry trends and everything.
Yeah, in terms of resources, as he just said, Hacker News, like news.ycombinator.com, thehackernews.com, SANS Storm Center podcast. Give me 1 second.
The Register.
Yeah.
There is this app called Feedly. It has you can integrate like a bunch of different news feeds into it, and you get like all like notifications from all different sources at the same place. And it also has like different GitHub repositories, which is and advisories, which is what you look when you're actually working at a company, which is what you also track. For example, if you're running a Redis version, there was a very recent Redis CV10 vulnerability, which was Redis Shell, I think it was called something like that. So yeah, you can get you can stay connected if you're using a technology in your company, in your architecture. So you can keep tracking those repositories as well. So yeah, there are a lot of different things. So Feedly is a very good app to install. You can like link up a bunch of different sources as a newsfeed.
I would also recommend the Cyberwire Daily. It's fantastic. Darknet Diaries, if you're not listening to Darknet Diaries, definitely check it out.
So you could subscribe to most of these articles like Bleeping Computer, Hacker News. There's an option to subscribe, so you probably would get emails about it so that you can keep yourself updated and read the whole article. That helps. And there's CISA notifications that you could subscribe to that I use. I find it pretty helpful because it gives out information about what's actively exploited out there.
TLDRSec is also a very good one. He has a newsletter. I think he's the CEO of SemGrep. He has this very big newsletter in a bunch of different domains in security as well, AppSec, forensics, and all those things. So yeah, you can pick whatever you want. Yeah, so these are all the various sources out there. So you should pick one and stay completely dedicated to reading it like a newspaper every day or every week whenever they release it.
Okay, I think we should be thinking about the last final advice here, right, from our panelist. So one question, right, is so again, you went through the program, you went through Northeastern, and you are now successful engineers, cybersecurity engineers. Again, for all of you, right, what kind of thing do you're happy that you did, right? Because you take a class, because you complete a CTF, because you focus on certain things, or what things you didn't do, or you didn't, or mistakes that you make that would be a good advice for them, right? For all of us to do, right? Most of you are going to be graduating next month, so they still have time to maybe take that class that or doing that conference, or maybe not taking that class that you don't like. So yeah, tell us kind of final advice there that can help us to for them, right, to take a right decision, or maybe follow maybe a career similar to the ones that you did.
One of the very big mistakes which I definitely did was like blindly applying to every job I came across and not like making my resume match the job description more. So like I said, like have like a bank of different projects and skill sets, or like different resumes for each role as well, and use that to just filter out the roles which actually match those resumes and apply to them accordingly. And also, that being said, also don't just stick to just one role, that you won't work on anything else if you don't get that role. So for example, if you just wanted AppSec and you are not willing to explore other roles, just don't do that, because that will end up and cost you a lot of opportunities as well, because you won't apply to them. So I'd say like apply to as many broad roles as you can, because a lot of the time these co-ops and early career roles, like they have like no dedicated position for you, because since it's an early career, and project will be decided once you go there based upon what they have in their backlog. So yeah, don't just like stick to one, and have like a very broad skill set. Like try to be a jack of all trades, and because you're not expected to be a specialist right away so early in your career, they would expect more of a generalist for each of the roles that you're applying to. So yeah, just try to refine your resume every time you're applying. Don't blindly apply. Referrals are super important when you're applying as well. I would also suggest that not always wait for the very end to connect with someone. If there's a company that you want to work for, don't just wait till you actually see a job posting to send a connection request to someone and get a referral immediately, because try to do it like immediately. If there's a company that you want to work at, try to find those people, send them connection requests and initiate a conversation. It could be anything, like a random coffee chat. Many of them would be more than willing to jump on a coffee chat and talk about what they're working on, or just initiate some conversation, what projects they're working on, what excites them in security. It could be whatever. Don't just directly show up and just ask for a job. So yeah, when the time comes, when you see a role, you can just send it along to them, and they'd be more than happy and willing to refer you. They would in fact give you a priority, because that's a familiar face. They have seen you, they've talked to you before, they know them, they'll be willing to refer to you, because people constantly keep getting like thousands of connection requests and people requesting for a referral. So that's how you can stand out. Just don't wait for the very end to reach out to someone, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, keep building projects, like as many side projects as you can, because they definitely teach you a lot, and that is something which you can talk about in your interviews as well. And also like to talk about the courses and the good things which I had at like doing my MSc by here was definitely even the capstone project. I got to talk about it in one of my interviews, and they were like really impressed, like how end to end I was able to build a tool. Like I interacted with a lot of different tools like Terraform. It was Wazoo, I guess, yeah, the open source threat monitoring tool, and yeah, I was able to set it up and I was able to talk about it as well. So yeah, those are the kind of things which they'd be very impressed with, and not just looking for people who just have theoretical knowledge. They want someone with practical experience. So yeah.
I probably, if I were to look back in retrospect, I should say that you should probably ask more questions in class and have those interactions with people. I kind of lacked there. When I started working, I kind of hesitated to ask questions, and I missed the hand-holding, and I wouldn't speak up. Even though I had brilliant ideas, many times I just wouldn't speak up, thinking, oh, maybe I should not. Maybe I should let others speak. So inculcate that habit of talking in class, asking questions to the professor, having that interaction with the professor, or just amongst your friends and people that you're around. I think that really helps you in your corporate job, and I wish I had done that more often. Now I realize the importance, and I do it consciously, but I would have been better if I did that from the beginning.
Personally, I'd say in terms of things that I really am happy that I did while I was here is I focused on really taking challenging, difficult classes that pushed me. I think that there's some people that come into the program and they're very concerned about their grades, given how much pressure they're under to get a job. I think it's a mistake to avoid taking the really hard classes just to preserve your grades. I think that in doing so, I really pushed what I was able to do, and it definitely helped me get a job down the line, even though I did suffer while doing it in terms of both the amount of effort that I had to put in and the impact that it had on my GPA somewhat. In terms of things that I regret doing, largely echoing what was already said, I did not do nearly enough at networking. I didn't go to cons. I didn't reach out. I was afraid to message people on LinkedIn because I thought I'd be harassing them, or because I thought they didn't want to hear from somebody who was relatively a beginner. And that is so far from the truth. I've had one or two people from here reach out to me, and I've always been more than happy to assist them in terms of answering any questions, providing materials, providing references. If anyone here wants to reach out, please feel free to do so. I would generally highly encourage people to just do as much networking as possible, because it will help you in the job application process and in your career generally.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. So all the jobs that I heard back from, I have received referrals from those companies, and I highly, highly recommend reaching out to people. Don't hesitate. It's okay. Reach out to people, and people are happy to help. And I would recommend reaching out to people who have like 3 to 4 years of experience, because they would have gone through the same process of being in the market, reaching out to people. reach out. I mean, it's good to reach out to people with 10, 15 years of experience, but they probably would not be as active on LinkedIn. So they probably would not look at your messages. So I definitely recommend people with 3 years or 4 years of experience, reach out to those kind of people, because I'm sure they're more active on LinkedIn and they understand where you're coming from and they'll understand your situation better than other people.
I mean, amazing. Really, really good advice here. Guys, this is now as you, and I'm sure that they're gonna take your word, right? They're gonna contact you. But that's one of the reasons why we wanna bring here MSCY students who have been, successfully joining the market and doing so well. I like a round of applause for our panelists because they deserve it. Thank you so much for coming.